Oh, yeah. So, a while back, we posted about a campaign over at Indiegogo, which was a notebook with a pen and an accompanying smartphone application that allowed you to essentially write notes in a paper notebook and then use this smartphone application to, I guess, take a snapshot of the page and send it to the destination of your choice, be it Google Drive or Evernote or email or something like that. And then you can take the notebook once it's full and throw it in the microwave for 30 seconds and it would essentially erase the contents of the notebook. Sounded like a cool idea, but upon closer inspection, turns out you can do all of this right now. The pen is called the Friction by Pilot, which is essentially comes with a little rubber nub on the end, so that when you erase the gel ink that you lay down with this pen, the friction, the heat, actually is what gets rid of the ink. So it doesn't actually get rid of it; it just kind of hides it. So it's kind of like you know, the inverse of the old lemon juice trick, right? Which is that, you know, you write with lemon juice and then you hold it over a flame after a while, after it's dried out, and, you know, the writing comes back miraculously. So this one, you heat it up and the ink vanishes. We did some testing today, and turns out that you can use the smartphone application version of Evernote to scan in a document, take a picture of a document, and it will translate your document into, you know, a physical document within Evernote. And then if you are a premium subscriber, unfortunately, you can then search the contents of said document. So it OCRs your document and puts it up there. If you've got, you know, impeccable handwriting and not the sloppy disaster that is, you know, my handwriting. So I guess there's really nothing super fantastic about this Rocketbook project, considering you can do it all now. The only hope is, well, the only thing is, I guess, that you know, what you're paying the $30 for to get the basic notebook and a pen is the application, because you can pay, I think I paid $6.50 or so to get a 3-pack of the Friction pens, $3 for a nice little notebook that has no metal parts in it, so I threw it in the microwave to verify that yes, these pens do work. And then the Evernote application, which is free, but you still need the Evernote Premium in order to be able to search. So if you don't need to search, then I guess you could probably do this all for free, or at least for the low price of like $10. So, you know, there you go. If you're interested in that kind of thing, you can go out and do it yourself. Today I pre-ordered the Pillars of Eternity, and I say pre-order meaning, holy crap, there's less than 24 hours to go before it drops, because it's released on a Thursday for some reason. I don't know why, but normally Tuesday is release day, but Thursday seems to be great for the fine folks at Obsidian, who have, you know, track record of things like Planescape Torment, some of the more recent Fallout games. I think it was Fallout New Vegas, maybe. But of course, you know, then it's full of veterans, you know, from you know, Icewind Dale and Neverwinter Nights 2 and things like that. So these people know their business when it comes to creating RPGs. I know jack squat about this game, except for the fact that A, it's super attractive, and B, it's a throwback to, you know, old school RPGs, a la Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale. You know, it's the essentially the bread and butter of what the folks at Obsidian know how to do. No fancy business, you know, no editors or anything like that, as far as I know. It's just straight up old school RPG fun. And I'm hoping it's fun. Now, I bought Divinity Original Sin, which was also old school RPG. Also really attractive looking. It was kind of difficult. I mean, it was so old school that, it removed all modern conventions of RPG-ness that we've come to, unfortunately, rely on. I got stuck on some of the quests, and I just could not for the life of me figure out where the heck I needed to go next. Because, if you're a veteran of old school RPGs, then you know that they never used to hold our hand. Basically, everything that you discovered in the game, you discovered on your own. Of course, the internet is there to take up that slack, and I could have gone to the internet to look up information about Divinity, but I didn't want to play it that way. So unfortunately, it turns out I didn't want to play it at all, so I had installed that. Hopefully, I'm not asking for Pillars of Eternity to be easier, but even playing old school Baldur's Gate, you really had there was a certain level of understanding about what you needed to do next. So, I have faith that Obsidian knows what they're doing. The secondary question, of course, is that, is this something that I really want? Mainly because, you can't go home again. I've tried going home to many, many, many games over the course of the years. I tried playing the remastered Baldur's Gate, and that didn't go over so well. I tried playing Ultima Online not too long ago, and that didn't go so well. So, these throwback games are great for people who can put their nostalgia into practice. I've not really been able to do that effectively the few times I've tried it in recent memory, so I'm hoping that Pillars of Eternity actually, presents something that I can attach to, that isn't so old school that it, turns me off. I did read about their philosophy behind characterization, in that they've created it in such a way that your stats are more, more relevant across the board. So you don't really have what they, traditionally call dump stats. So that, for example, might actually isn't simply a brawn representation. It is essentially how mighty your character is. And if you're a barbarian, then that certainly does mean brawn. But if you're a mage, then your might is essentially your spell power. So that across the board, might represents an idea rather than a specific attribute that's relevant to a class but not relevant to a different class. So that's actually pretty cool. I like that. It's going to take a little while to get the mind around that, but I think it's a pretty good idea. And also that if you do find yourself with you take an entire party of wizards that this article actually was talking about, that you're not going to screw yourself into a corner, because you could just stop off at a tavern somewhere and hire a retainer for a particular scenario that you run into. Say you need a thief. You can go hire a thief, and when you're done, you can either dismiss them or you can, rotate your party out. That was one of the things that old school RPGs did really well was, and I'm talking real old school, a la Bard's Tale, Fantasy, Original Wasteland, Wizard's Crown, things like that, is that you could create unlimited, well, not really unlimited, you can create a whole lot of characters and only take 6 of them, but if you wanted to go back and swap somebody out, you could do that at any time you wanted. So, that's an interesting thing. So, I'm looking forward to that, giving that a shot. I need to give it its due, though. I can't just, get frustrated at character creation and wipe it from the system, and then ask myself why I keep throwing money into this black hole of disinterest. You know, got to really give it some time. Of course, you know, this comes in after 2 days after Bloodborne arrived, which is not something I'm playing, but is something that a lot of other people are playing. I'm not a fan of games that are designed, you know, games whose, you know, primary bullet point is that, you know, they're going to make things difficult for you. That's just me, you know. I mean, other people may like having the challenge of video games. Me, I'm getting older, and therefore, you know, my reflexes aren't what they were. And my attention span certainly isn't what it used to be. And I have this inability to fail repeatedly. Which doesn't mean that I'm not good at failing repeatedly. I'm very good at failing repeatedly, but being able to continue to play after repeated failing is not something that I'm into these days. That's me. You know, I'm not saying that you're stupid for liking something like that, but I don't. Which kind of leads me into a segue of an interesting situation that you see around the internet quite frequently. But which really actually annoys the hell out of me. And that's when you see a lot of people who are really excited about something. Inevitably, someone shows up out of the blue, and for no good reason, seemingly, announces to the world that, you know, hey, this game isn't for me, but, you know, I'm not really interested in this game, or you know, I don't, or just flat out, I don't really care for this game. You know, I realize I just did it myself, so, you know, I'm not saying I'm not a hypocrite. I generally don't do it. However, I was talking about it, so I wanted to establish the fact that I don't have first-hand experience with this game, okay, and also to segue into this other, you know, aspect. And I don't know why people feel the need to get up and announce that they're not interested in a game. I mean, I don't know what that gains them, except that people, you know, always want to be part of something. And when you're surrounded by your peers and also your, you know, people who inhabit your interest group, and you see them, you know, getting all hyped about something that you yourself are not interested in, you feel kind of like an outsider. And you know, internally, you know, your monologue, whether it's conscious or subconscious, you know, is asking yourself, well, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something about this that I would like, or flat out, you know, what's wrong with me that I don't like this? All these people, I trust their judgment. You know, these are the people that I turn to for recommendations, and they all seem to be totally enamored with this title. Why aren't I interested? What's wrong with me? You know? And so, you know, in that process, you kind of want to throw it out there. You know, it's like, hey, I'm not playing this game. Is there anybody else who's not playing this game either? You know, can we commiserate over our shared disinterest? So you're out there, you're throwing this out there, you know, in the hopes that someone will say, you know what, I don't really care for this game either. Or I didn't buy this game either. Or, you know what, this game ain't for me either. And so then, you know, you can have kind of a parallel, but, you know, opposite conversation with people. While everybody else is off enjoying their product, you and the rest of you are, you know, talking about why you're not interested, or, you know, even just to, you know, to identify yourself, or for you to identify other people who are similarly feeling outside the loop. So you can have your own conversations about other things that don't involve what everyone's talking about. You know, I think it just all comes down to people wanting to, you know, hang out with other people, to have something in common, essentially, with other people. I understand if that's why people do it. I don't know if people consciously understand why they do it, but you know, there's two options. One, there's banging out that tweet or posting that post to other social media that doesn't have a nice, funny name like tweet about how you're not interested, or about how about this game doesn't do it for you. But the other option is just to simply not do anything at all. There's a whole, I pretty much don't have the stats on it, but I'm fairly confident in saying that there are more people out there who are not playing Bloodborne right now than there are people who are playing Bloodborne. So, if you feel that you're out of the loop, that you feel if you're being, left out of something, take heart in that, unless it's breathing oxygen or, urinating, I don't think it's possible that you're in the minority for, not participating in something at a particular given time. Which isn't, it's not to denigrate either side, those for or against. It's just that, jumping in with a negative sentiment while other people are, raising the roof or whatever it is that they're doing over the flavor of the month, is still a wet blanket, even if even if you're trying to reach out in your own way. it's still a negative sentiment, because I don't like, or it is not for me. It's it's still got a negative connotation there, a negative vibe to it, and I think I don't know, let people enjoy what they enjoy, and if you don't have anything good to say, if you don't have anything positive to say, I don't see why you need to say anything at all. There's plenty of other ways to, commiserate with other people who aren't talking about this flavor of the month without going all negative, without throwing your hat into this specific arena. So, just the next time you feel like you got to come out and say, I'm not participating with the rest of you, just think about it. Are you adding to the conversation, or are you simply just, trying to break off some attention from this hype train for yourself? And, are you really gaining anything by positioning yourself as an outsider?